So I want to introduce you all to Mike. This is our local beekeeper, and we're very proud to be using someone local who's passionate about bees and he cares for them as well. So we'll do some Q&A a bit later once we get set up, and then I think a lot of tenants here on site know Minrad Villano, our corporate concierge.
Hello.
So we're gonna get our costumes on, or whatever they're called. I'm putting the phone down here, so there you go. Is this one mine? Yeah. Thank you. Woo, it's hot up here.
You don't want to zip them all the way up right now. Tie them around your waist.
Okay.
Well, you can, but they'll be awful hot.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh man, it's a scorcher out there. I think well, if it was Friday afternoon, maybe we'd go for a beer after this, but
that's actually a good question. In this heat, how are our bees going to do?
Oh, sorry, was that for me?
yeah, here, I'm gonna grab the thing again. Just give us a second here to get fully set up. Mike, was there gloves in here? I can't remember if you had extras.
Yeah, there was one pair. It should be underneath.
Fantastic. Okay, excellent question. Mike, let's ask this one to you. I'm gonna flip my screen around.
So the bees should be good with heat, like anything extreme, of course. If it's awful heat for a long time, it's stressful for them. But as long as they have access to water, they should be good. Often what you might see when we're out there today, the bees actually regulate the temperature of the hive by coming out and fanning with their wings and blowing air up into the hive. So as long as it has a good hole at the top and a good one at the bottom for air to circulate, they should be good.
Yeah, very cool. Their own AC. I wish I had that. Okay. All right, you want to pass the equipment through to me? I can go first.
Sure.
All right, everyone, we're going on top of the roof now. This is on top of Center Point Place. Oh. Want to hand me the bucket?
Yeah, no problem.
Here we go. Oh. So you can see City Hall right over here. Do I even need the gloves? Do I even need the gloves? Okay. Fantastic. Whew.
To be honest,
You don't think they're going to even bug us at all?
I don't think so. They got better things to do with their time.
Oh, that's cool. So I don't know if you all heard that, but our beekeeper's saying we probably don't even need these bee suits. A large misconception about bees is that they're violent and aggressive and that they'll sting you, and that's just not true. They're actually a very docile species. And the only reason they would really sting you or attack you is if you like kick their hive and really were aggressive with them. All right, so here's our little bee hotel. Yeah, Minrad, you can put up your hood if you want.
I'll help them.
I think I will as well. I don't quite have the experience as our beekeeper, so I'd rather have the hood up.
I'll actually just give you a quick fun bee fact while we're waiting here. Honeybees actually have 5 eyes. So, you know the saying 4 is better than 2. Well, I guess 5 is better than 4.
They're good, but
Woo.
make sure I've got water if you guys need water. Okay.
I hope you all feel appreciated. It's really hot up here. All right.
We do. Thank you, guys.
Are we able to open up the hive? Yeah. All right, everybody. here's our bees hard at work.
Oh yeah, so coming in, going out.
Yep.
They go in and out at the top as well, but they don't seem to be coming out of the top.
They look so little. Are they, do they get bigger or is that just the species?
No, that's their full-grown size.
Full-grown size.
Yeah, you're thinking of the sort of the fatter ones that you call bumblebees, the sort of hairy fat ones. They don't make as much honey as honeybees. So
as you can all see, my hand is right in front of the hive. They're not even landing on me. That's how friendly bees actually are.
yeah, it's a real misconception.
That's what I'm thinking. It's once you don't have any.
Yeah, so you know, when I come out here, often I'll wear just like there's a kind of suit that's really just a hood. It just comes over my head and loops around under my arms. That's what I'll usually wear, and the reason I wear it is not because I'm afraid that the bees are going to sting me. Bees are very curious by nature, and so any sort of folds or dark holes, they'll try to crawl in, and of course, you know, in your ears and whatnot, they'll try to get in there. So, yeah, I wear it not necessarily to keep me from the bees. I wear it to keep them out of my from walking down my clothes or whatever, like on the inside, because they're not going to sting you unless they feel threatened, like their lives are threatened. So the only way to make them feel threatened is to either squish them in your clothes or your elbow or ankles or whatever, or to disturb the hive. So to pull the cap off or to
Like-
vibrate it, right?
Like what we're about to do?
Like what we're about to do. But this actually won't be too bad. They're pretty docile. But once I lift the top off the hive, you will start to see them getting a little more active because they'll feel the vibration. They'll know something's up, so they'll start to get a little more agitated. And if we really start disturb them by pulling, you know, frames out or bumping the hive a lot, then you'll start to see a lot more of them coming out and looking for what's going on. But it shouldn't be a problem today. Not at all.
Well, why don't you explain what you're doing? And Lana, can you hear us okay?
We can, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, Mike, explain to us like the tools you're using and kind of what you're doing as you're doing it, and I'll just follow you around with the camera.
Yeah, I'll just go over my toolbox. So this you've probably seen before. This is a smoker. I probably won't have to use this today, but I wanted to have it just in case we needed it. Generally, you smoke the bees. Like people wonder why, you know, you smoke bees. What you're doing is bees communicate with pheromones, right? With scent and signals. So an alarm pheromone, for example, will trigger the other bees to be alarmed themselves and to start looking for problems. So what the smoker does is it does two things. It masks the scent, like it's like a smoke or smoking in a room. You won't be able to smell anything but the smoke. So it masks the scent of any alarm pheromones that they put off. And I'm not, there's still some dispute about this because we don't really know the mind of bees. But a lot of what they do as well when they smell the smoke is they'll go in and they'll start gorging on the honey. And what people believe is that they're doing that because it's an instinctual behavior that if there's a fire, they want to gorge and get as much honey as they can in themselves in case they have to flee the nest and make one somewhere else. So the smoke works in sort of two ways, but that's how, you know, you try and keep the hive docile while you're working on it if you're going to be really agitating it and jarring it. We probably won't today, so I probably won't need the smoke. But if they start getting out of hand, I might light it up.
Oh, cool.
So that's the smoker. In my little bag of tricks here, I keep this. It's just a blanket with a couple wooden pieces on it. But when you pull the top off the hive, in order to keep them still feeling safe, you don't want them to feel like it's all open and they run out.
That's right.
So I put this over the top gently,
Okay.
and it sort of keeps it dark. And that way I can work on one frame at a time. I'll show you when I put it on. But I basically put it on and I can roll it back, and then just pull out a single frame and roll it back over. And that way it kind of keeps a lid on the hive and keeps them from getting out and agitated.
Can you still hear us, Lana?
Yep, we're doing well.
Okay, good to hear.
All right. So this is called the bee brush. It's just a brush, and I use it for brushing the bees off of the frames when I pull them out if I want to look and see what the status of the frames are, how much honey, etc. is in. I'll use this to brush the bees. It does not hurt them at all, but it does move them out of the way.
Inrad, do you want to hold the camera for me?
And
You gotta go closer. Just gonna put on my gloves.
I cannot see.
Oh, hope we didn't just turn it off. Oh yeah, it's still there. There you go.
All right, and for tools, I've got two versions of what's called a hive tool here. This one I find works better for me, but this is the more traditional one. Basically, the hive tools are used to pry the frames off, and this hook down here I use to pry the frames up. You'll see me use it in a second, but the reason we need these is because inside the hive, you'll see shortly, bees cement everything down and patch up the holes and hold it all together with something called propolis. And they make that themselves, and they use sap from trees. So a lot of propolis is really just like sap, and that's a good way to describe it. It's very sappy, but there's more. But it gets very sticky and very hard, and so they put that all throughout the hive to hold everything together or plug holes. If there's a small hole where air is getting through in the winter or whatever, they'll fill it with propolis, and that's what they use to cocoon themselves. So you need a tool like this in order to pry the things apart when the propolis is at the moment. Okay. So yeah, let's open it up.
We actually have a quick question, if possible. We have a question. Are all bees docile, and even the larger bumblebees?
Are all bees docile, and even the larger bumblebees?
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say yes, and the larger bumblebees too, absolutely. You will have heard of the Africanized honeybees that were kind of a big deal about 10 years ago. Everyone was worried they were going to take over the world. Those bees are not as docile as honeybees, but honeybees themselves, like these ones, have been bred for a long time. I don't have the figure, but they've been bred to be docile. So yeah, they're a product of selective breeding for docility, if that makes sense.
All right, and we'll hold questions now until we've had a chance to open up the hive, and then we'll answer some more Q&A after. So worker bees. Okay, here we go.
So this is this inner cover. When I pop this, you'll see down into the bees. I'm going to pop that cover off right away here, though. And the bees are going to start getting a lot more active once I prop this off. So what you're looking at, if you could just move back a bit and I'll just show you. So the hive has two main portions, right? There's two large, they're called large supers, and this medium super I put on top. So these two form the core of the colony. They're here all year and they use it all year. This one I just put on about a week ago so that they can start to fill it with honey. So the honey that they leave in these two, that's for them. That's what they need to make it through the winter. If you're going to harvest honey from bees and you want to do it sustainably, i.e. not kill the hive off, what you do is you put one of these on or two of them on in the summer. They'll fill this with excess honey, and that's what you use to bottle, and you leave the stuff that's in here for them to keep and manage. So they've started, here I'll pull one of these off, they've started drawing comb on it. Like I said, I just put this on about a week ago. So have a look. You can see that they've started to build the comb. That's this this white waxy stuff, and that glistening stuff in there, that's honey. So they've started to build the comb. If you look in the bottom left here, you can see down here, there's no comb there yet. So they haven't started working on that. So they built it up And the stuff at the top is full-size comb, and they've started putting, well, nectar in it, essentially. And what honey is all of the nectar that they bring back, they put in these combs, and they wait and let it evaporate. All the moisture evaporate off, and then they just keep filling it and letting it evaporate until it's full, and then they'll cap it off. And if you look down in there, I don't know if you could see from that picture, there's a plastic, a gray plastic mesh. Can you guys see that mesh?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that is what's called a queen excluder. And what that mesh does, because the queen bee is much larger than the other bees, the worker bees, that excluder keeps her from coming up into this top box here. And the reason we want to do that is so that she doesn't come up here and start laying eggs in it, because this is just going to be honey that we keep, right? So we don't want the queen up here laying eggs amidst all of the honey that we're keeping. So that queen excluder lets the other bees come up through here and deposit all the excess honey, but keeps her in the bottom, making keeping the brood going and whatnot. So yeah, that's it. That's your hive.
Can we go into lower levels?
Yeah, we certainly can. I'm going to pop this off. We'll start to see a little bit more movement.
So if you probably can't hear this, everybody, but when a hive starts getting agitated and angry, you'll start hearing the bees buzz. It's like a bzzz, like that's when you know that the hive is really active and that it's a time to be a little bit more cautious. But they're not even loud right now. They're not an agitated hive. Even though we're here taking the hive apart, they're super chill.
Yeah, so far, super chill. You'll also, for those of us here, you'll start to hear them buzzing around you, and you might even hear them like they'll start hitting by, I don't know, they bump into you by accident, but you can really tell when they start getting agitated. They are not yet agitated. So there's going to be a lot more activity under this honey super and under this queen excluder. So this is the main brood box. This is where, see, and this propolis is glued this thing right down, right onto it. So I'm going to use my tool here. Voila. Okay, good tool. Right here. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, so this is the main.
Now you can hear them. You're starting to hear them buzz a little bit, which means that they're more active and aware. I don't know if you can see all these bees flying around now, but there's like probably about 5 or 6 times the bee activity than before. Now, in all fairness, we just ripped the house off their roof and now we're taking out their walls. So I'd probably be buzzing around my own house as well if that happened.
Okay, so these are larger. Oh yeah, you can see some. So here you're seeing the cells inside the hive.
How dark they are.
Yeah, they're filling these with honey as well right now. Same as on the back.
I don't know if we'll be able to really see in there super well.
Yeah, it's probably a little too dark. I'll see if I can find some brood in here for them to look at. Yeah. Let's see, they might just be putting most of the brood in the bottom box right now. Necessarily get to see the brood or the eggs.
Lana, any other Q&A? We can kind of talk about that a bit as we're showing this.
For sure. So we do have a question here. How far will bees travel from the hive to find flowers?
Here's some good brood. Okay, yeah, that's an excellent question.
There we go.
So I'll answer it in a sec. I'll just point something out here. So what you're seeing here, this is brood. So these are capped. These are young bees developing into brood. And when they hatch, of course, you can see the holes in here. So when they hatch, that's where they'll come out.
Very cool.
Yeah, another interesting thing to show you on the other side of this, down here in the corner. See these larger cells? So they stick out a little. You might not be able to tell, but they stick out a little further. Those are going to be drones. Those are drone cells.
Oh, so that's like bees that are going to become hatched or something.
Well, yeah. So the drones. Actually, it's probably easier to see it up here. See how these are kind of a little bit larger. and fatter than a normal capped cell. So those drones are the males, and they have only one job. They represent a very small percentage of the bees, maybe 5% of the bees are born as drones. They're a lot larger than the other bees. So you can, if you're just looking at a hive like this, there's no drones on top, but you can instantly tell them because they're probably 20 to 30% larger than a regular honeybee. And they have one job, which is to mate with a female queen. So they don't contribute to the hive at all. And I'll let you guys draw your own jokes about men from that. But they got one job, and that's to find a queen and mate with her. So they spend their days up probably about 100 feet in the air, just flying around, sniffing for the pheromones of a queen who's ready to mate. And very few of them, of course, find one, but the lucky ones that do, mate with the queen, and then their job is done.
So how far do bees travel then to get to their flowers?
So a typical hive, the bees will travel between 3 and 5 kilometers in a radius around the hive. So these bees will easily make it down into the river valley or up 124th Street with all the flowers and whatnot there. There's plenty for them here, but it's 3 to 5 kilometers is the radius.
And what other questions do you have from Q&A, Lana?
We have, how are they able to thrive downtown, which you just pretty much answered, being so nice and close to the river valley? Do they really sleep inside flowers?
So that is no, that's a myth. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say that. These honeybees do not sleep inside flowers. I'm pretty confident that I don't know as much about the native, what you would call bumblebees. I don't think they do, but I'm not going to step out on a limb because I don't know enough about them. I would say there's an 80% chance they don't, though.
Yeah, and these honeybees don't.
These honeybees absolutely do not. And the native bumblebees, they nest in small holes and they go back to their nest at the end of the day. So probably not.
Hey, Mike, so what happens if a wasp or an intruder makes it into the hive? What do the bees do to protect themselves?
Yeah, so that's an awesome question. There's a great YouTube video out there if you want to search for it. But what the bees do, like a wasp, wasps are very, very dangerous for bees. They will steal the honey whenever they can. If a wasp makes it into the hive, one of the strategies that I found really interesting that the bees do is they can't beat it. He's much larger than they are. She's much larger than they are. They swarm around the wasp and make a ball. So they basically just glomp onto him, make a ball. And bees are one of the few insects that use their bodies to regulate temperature. So in the wintertime, the bees heat this hive with their own body temperature, and they can raise and lower it. When they make that ball around the wasp, they all raise their temperature as high as they can because bees can survive a much higher temperature than wasps can. And they basically kill the wasp by cooking them to death. So that's one of their strategies. And yeah, there's a great YouTube video out there. It's pretty amazing to watch, actually.
Very cool.
So we do have a couple other questions. Do the bees always find their way back to the hive?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
We have another one.
Yeah.
Does a drone mate more than once? And if so, is it with only one queen or multiple?
Yeah, so a queen will mate with multiple drones, but a drone will only mate with one queen. And again, I don't know what the stats are, but it's something like a 0.5% of drones actually successfully find a queen to mate with. But the queen, when what a queen does is when she emerges and she's ready to start her own nest, she will go out on a maiden voyage looking for drones, essentially to mate with. She'll only do that once or twice in her life. And then once she's done mating that day or maybe the next, if she hasn't had enough drones to mate with, then she comes back to the hive and she stays in the hive for the rest of her life. So she only has one girl's night out, or girl's day out, if you want to call it that. But she will purposely mate with multiple drones from different colonies if she can, in order to sort of diversify the gene pool. So when these bees are hatched, they may come from different fathers, but they have only the one mother.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah,
Um,
she stores the sperm in herself from the multiple partners, and then uses it throughout her life on the bees.
Okay, another question we have is, this one may be really hard to answer, but how many baby bees do you think we have in our hive?
Yeah, it's actually not that hard to answer. An exact count, yes, that would be very hard to answer. But hives, the colony size grows and shrinks over the year. Right now, this colony is at its maximum size. So in the spring, they're at their smallest, and they'll probably be somewhere between 20 and 30,000 individuals, maybe even as low as 15. But at this point in the summer, they're at their peak, and that'll be anywhere from 50 to 60,000 individuals.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Another,
and then,
oh, sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
I was going to say those ones that are being born now, their job is, we can take this off. Their job is basically to make honey while summer's still here, and most of them will die off in the fall, and then the queen just won't have laid as many eggs for the ones that are going to carry her through the winter. So she regulates the size of the hive by how many eggs she lays, basically what her cadence is for that.
Hey, Lana, how many more questions do we have?
Just a couple.
Okay, sure. Let's get through these, and then we'll do some door prizes.
Okay, perfect. Another one is, other than the queen bee, are there other female bees in the hive?
Yeah, so great question. The answer is yes, and it's pretty much all of them. So all of these bees you're seeing here, these are worker bees. They are all female, but they're sterile. So they cannot lay eggs themselves. The only males are the drones, and like I said, they'll make up between 5 and 10% of the hive. So at least 90% of the hive is always female. It's just that the queen is the only one who's been mated, so she's the only one that can produce viable eggs.
Perfect. And we just have 2 questions left. So all of these bees, will they stick to just this hive?
Yes. Yeah, so the hive is held together. The cohesion of the hive comes from the queen and her pheromones. And every queen has different pheromones. So these bees all know that they're part of the same colony, the same family. Because of those pheromones, they will stick to that. If they go into another hive by accident or while foraging, they will know they're in the wrong place instantly, as will the other bees from that hive will know that they don't belong there. So these bees they'll stay in this hive for their whole lives. In some of the other hives that I have, I've got multiple hives right side by side, like 4 inches from one another, 4 or 5 different hives. All of the bees stick to their own hives.
Okay. How do new queen bees come about?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. New queen bees come about in 2 possible ways. One is that they're replaced by the beekeeper, like myself. And we'll do that when a queen starts getting older and maybe isn't laying as many eggs as she should be. But naturally, new queens come about when the old queen starts to get a little bit, starts to slow down. The other bees will recognize that. Again, they communicate through pheromones, but her status is the primary concern of the colony. And so when she starts to falter and get a little bit sick or slow down, that is transmitted throughout the hive. They're all aware of the fact that their queen is fledgling or dying or starting to go down the back end of the hill. And so they will start creating what's called a queen cell or multiple queen cells in order to have a new queen. It's the worker bees that decide what kind of bee is going to be born by what they feed them. So the queen will lay a normal egg inside one of those cells. The worker bees, knowing that she's faltering, will build it up as a queen cell, which is much larger, and they will feed that larva differently than the others, and that triggers the development of a new queen. And when that new queen comes out, she will seek the old queen and kill her and take over the hive.
Excellent. I think that's about all the time we have for Q&A. We've got some door prizes. The rule is you have to be on the call. So we have all your registrations and we'll cycle through. So we've got a sustainability package put together. It's all a bunch of reusable stuff, about a $40 value. We also have a microgreen kit. And then we've also got 2 different packs of wax-based food coverings. Lana, do you want to share what's inside the bag? I don't quite remember.
Sure. So inside that bag, the bag that is being shown is actually a reusable snack bag. Inside, there should be a smaller version of that snack bag. Also, some sponge cloths, which are amazing. They last quite a long time because they completely dry out. So there's no bacteria that can grow on them. So no smelly, gross dishcloths. And we also have a collapsible, reusable grocery bag. So it's a pretty cool prize.
Well, let's do the draw. Let's start with the most valuable gift, which is the little sustainability reusable package.
Perfect. And just so you know, we're just using a random generator number. So that's how we pick the winners. So our first winner is number 28, who is Tracy Snow. So Tracy, are you on the call with us?
I am.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much. This has been great.
Good.
Oh yeah, thank you. And for all these gifts, all the door prizes, we will be dropping them off to your offices for you to pick up as you see fit.
Fantastic. Thanks you.
Great. So now we'll move on to our microgreen kit. And the lucky winner of that is number 8, Yasin. I hope I pronounced that properly. Oh, I'm not sure if she's with us.
The hive, by the way, completely calmed down within a couple minutes of it being taken apart. And now it's back to literally the status that we showed up with. So the bees are really chill. You don't hear any buzzing. And they're not flying around as wildly now. They're very, very docile.
Okay, so we'll pick a new number because I don't think Yasin is with us. So number 21, Andrea Chalut. Are you with us, Andrea?
Might be Andrea from Salute.
I don't know if Andrea is with us either. Let's try lucky 27, Kim Stevenson.
I am here.
Yay.
Yay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We have 2 more. So this is for one of our packs of the natural bee wax food covers. Barb Newton. Are you with us, Barb?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Perfect.
Hey, congratulations, Barb.
Thank you.
And our last one, this is also for a pack of the beeswax food wraps. Maninder Kaur. Oh, yes, they are here. They just replied in the chat. Perfect. Congratulations.
Fantastic. Oh, let me take off my glove. Flip this camera around super quick. Oh man, it's hot.
Yeah. While they're just going back in, I can share a couple of other fun bee facts with you. So bees survive winter by consuming honey and generating heat with their bodies. So we kind of learned that already, but it's pretty cool that they're very self-sustaining. The queen can decide if she wants to lay a male or a female egg. And one other fun bee fact is that all honeybees in Canada are actually technically immigrants. Canada does not have any native honeybees. Our native bees are the big, fat, fuzzy bumblebees that we see. So our bees out there on the roof are immigrant bees. So yeah, those are our fun facts. Are you still with us there, Dan? It's looking a little glitchy on our end. Uh-oh, looks like we're having some technical difficulties on our end. Well, I hope you all enjoyed it. It was really cool. This was the first time I also got to meet our bees. So it's really exciting. I agree. Yay, bees. They're so important to our ecosystem. Yes, so Dan just texted. He's not sure what happened, but they got disconnected. Oh, there he is. Welcome back, Dan. You're on mute. Oh, Dan, if you can hear us, you're on mute. We can't hear anything you're saying.
Hey
Oh, there
there.
we go.
Thank you everybody for joining us. Sorry we lost reception for a moment. That is our bees. So we're gonna be putting this up on our website, and we're actually gonna have a landing page for the bees. We've got a really cool video that we shot last summer when we installed these, with including a bunch of other downtown stakeholders like Grant McEwen, the Hotel McDonald, because they have their own hives. We interviewed them and just learned more about bees and the process for getting them on the roof. So that will be shared. And other than that, the door prizes will be delivered to your offices. And if you have any other questions about bees, feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, well, I'm going to end the session now. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy the Canada Day tomorrow, and have a good weekend as well.